The views and opinions on this show do not necessarily reflect the views of ESPN Tucson 1490 AM, 94.9 HD Channel 4, or the Arizona Lotus Corporation.
Welcome to Spears and Ali on ESPN Tucson.
Justin Spears, I like that.
With Justin Spears and Ali Farhang on 1490 AM, 94.9 HD Channel 4, ESPN Tucson. Brought to you by Tucson Federal Credit Union, the Volpe team at Nova Home Loans, and Rightway Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
I want to be entertaining, but I'm not stupid enough to compare myself to Ali.
Making her Spears and Ali debut here on ESPN Tucson is Arizona women's basketball head coach Becky Burke. Good morning, Coach. How are you doing?
Good morning. How are you guys?
Yes, there it is. Great. Thank you for being a part of the show, and congratulations on becoming the head coach at Arizona. Take us through what the last several months have been like from the moment you got hired until now.
Oh gosh, just there hasn't been a moment that we've stopped. You know, it's been nonstop. It's been a lot of work. It's been putting a staff together, creating a roster. Essentially having to do everything from the ground up. We didn't walk into anything, and there was no roster, there was no staff, there was no nothing in place. So it has been a whirlwind of a few months for us, but now sitting here 3 weeks into summer practice with our team, it is definitely a rewarding and great feeling just knowing everything that we've done and how far we've come.
Becky, I'm just curious, just following up on what Justin said, you're coming off a 30-7 season in Buffalo. You're probably preparing for just building off that WNIT championship. And then you get the offer of the Arizona job. And before you accept, you see nobody on the roster. And, what are your initial, okay, I'm going to take this job and this is the top three things I got to focus on?
Yeah. That's a similar situation to what I walked into at Buffalo. When I took the job at Buffalo, I only had 2 players on the roster. So I was familiar and comfortable with a job like this, and that's why it made me excited to take it, because I've been here and I've done this before, and I think that was something that appealed to Desiree. It was like I've been a program builder my entire career, and so walking into a situation like this was really familiar and comfortable for me, and I know what I'm signing up for when I do it, and I've done it everywhere that I've been, and so I think it was just something that was a good fit on both sides. But for me, I'm always about 30 days in, like, why do I sign up for this every single time I do this? This is crazy. But it's worth it. It's definitely rewarding in the end.
I thought you had the ability to clone yourself with all you've gotten accomplished in just a few short months.
Yeah, it's a lot of sleepless nights. My phone hasn't really left my side since I accepted this job, but that's part of it, and that's what you sign up for.
And you talk about program building. I mean, literally program building. You were at Embry-Riddle up there in Prescott. So you're familiar with the state of Arizona, but take us through your first head coaching stint at the collegiate level, starting a program from the ground up. And how did you get it to a point where it was obviously in a much better place than when you found it?
Yeah, I walked into an empty office at the age of 24 and was told to start a program. And, there was an opportunity there to do it the way that I wanted to do it, to just figure it out, and do it my way, do things the way that I thought were right, what felt right for me. And, that was a transformational 3 years in my life and my career, because I was able to wear every single hat. I was able to do everything, every job, is just me. And so to go from not having a program to in year 2, essentially, because I only coached 2 of those 3 years. They gave me 1 year to build the team. So in 2 short years, we're top 15 in the country in the NAIA rankings, at a place like Embry-Riddle, which is not the easiest place to recruit to. So, it's been a unique journey of mine, and every stop has had its, it's different challenges, it's different successes, and it's different kind of stories. But I think everything that I've been through, every stop that I've had has led me to this place here at Arizona, and been able to, equip me with the tools that I could do a really good job here.
Well, and with that, Embry-Riddle winning record, Charleston, you had a winning record, USC Upstate winning record, Buffalo, obviously you had a winning record. What is the secret to your success? What is about your culture that results to wins?
I think the accountability, the standards. We hold our players to a standard every single day that is nothing less than your best and nothing less than a championship culture that we create. We run a tight ship. It's not easy to play for me. It's a high level of, like I said, standards and accountability that every recruit will sit down and tell you on your visit that, they want to be coached. They want to be coached hard. They want to be held to a standard. And then when they get here, sometimes that's not always the case. So for us, we have to recruit really specific players that can play for us. It is not easy because when you come into Arizona and I tell you our standards and our expectations, that is something I am holding you to every single day, not just Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Every single day you are held to a championship standard here in Arizona. And, we recruit a very specific type of player, which enables us to have a tremendous amount of success by being able to do that. So, people have asked me, what are you going to do here differently? Not a whole lot. There's a reason I got to this point. And to be honest with you, I've coached every team that I've coached like I was at a Power 4 level school, so those poor kids at the NAI level, and I was coaching them up like we were at UConn, so it's like, I'm not changing the way that I do things just because I'm at Arizona now or I've arrived. Like, we're going to stick to the plan. We're going to stick to the process. We're going to stick to the culture that we create, and how we do that every single day. And that's given us a tremendous amount of success.
Becky, this is the first time you and I've spoken. I've been a fan of yours since you were hired because of the joy and energy you brought to the program. But when you start giving me Mike Tomlin quotes, I just want you to know I just went up another level. Standard is the standard, baby.
The standard is the standard.
Yeah.
There we go.
But we kind of talked about the roster and how you were, able to build up Arizona's roster now through the transfer portal. Are there, a few names out there that have really impressed you in the early stages of your summer practices?
I think it's still so early to tell you like a few specific names. We put together a roster that I think we've got a really good balance of Power 4 transfers and mid-major studs. And I think that's something that was what was available to us at the time we got this position, and we were able to get in the portal and get to work. We did the best possible job that we could. I think we're going to be a little bit small this year just in terms of our size, but that doesn't worry me at all. I've never had a team that's been the biggest. I've never had a team that's been the longest, the biggest, the most athletic. We just we're disciplined. We pay attention to the details. We're gritty. We get after it. We're blue collar. So that's always made up for those types of things. But as far as like our roster goes, I think it's assembled really, really well with a ton of balance between our guards and our posts, and being able to shoot it, being able to get to the rim, being able to get touches in the paint. I just think there's so many players right now that on any given day are showing glimpses of like, wow, they can be really, really good. So we're looking for that consistency, who's going to separate themselves over these next 5 weeks or so of the summer. So that way, when we get back in August, at the end of August, early September, and we start our preseason, that we kind of have a good idea what our rotation is going to look like. So I'm definitely happy with what I see. There's glimpses, from players left and right, just showing what they can possibly do here and what they can be. And it's been something where I've not come home disappointed in what we were able to get out of the portal. That's for sure.
And your only returner is Montea Dew, and she has been with the program for the last few years. She's dealt with some injuries, but when she was being recruited out of high school, she was McDonald's All-American, 5-star player, highly touted recruit. What's the plan for her? How do you see her fitting into your system?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is getting her healthy. We've got to make sure that she gets healthy. She's able to get back on the floor in a confident way, in a safe way. And, from everything I'm seeing and I'm hearing, I think she's a little bit ahead of schedule right now, which is really exciting for us. But, there's a lot of stuff that goes into, battling injuries back to back and some things that she's went through in the last couple of years. And so we're trying to, keep her spirits up, encourage her, keep her positive. But the kid can play. I've seen the film. So I was definitely more than happy to make sure that she stayed on our roster. So when the time comes and she's able to get out there and for us to be able to evaluate how she's going to fit into our system, we'll do that. But right now the priority is, her health and making sure she's going one day at a time with her rehab.
Becky, there's certainly been a transformation in college athletics with NIL, with now revenue sharing. And one thing I've maybe observed is that in the past with women's basketball, it was like Tennessee, and they're just going to blow the doors off of everybody in the tournament. Then it was UConn, and they're going to blow the doors off of everybody. Now this seems to be more parity. Do you think that this transition of college athletics has created just a much more balanced, more parity in women's basketball?
Well, I think before the House settlement and before there was a cap on everything, No, not necessarily. I think it was still just the big money top dogs that were going to be able to get all the players that they, that you need to be able to win the national championship. So now that the House has passed and, there's somewhat of regulation on, what you're able to spend on players. I think there will be even more of that now moving forward in the future, because you just even look at last year's rosters. I mean, there was teams spending $1 million, there was teams spending $5 million, so if you're at the $5 million mark, chances are you're getting a few better players than the team that's at the $1 million mark. And God forbid you're below the $1 million mark, right? Like, so it was still a little bit of the wild, wild west until about a month ago or so. And now I think we're moving forward into some sustainability in parity in what we're going to be able to do in recruiting and paying our players.
And I'm sure Michelle Marciniak is really helping you out as the general manager of your team, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. That's been a big hire for us and just something that has been really extremely useful. I want to coach basketball. I want to talk hoops, and I want to let the contracts and negotiating and all of those things go through our general manager, which has been an incredible asset for us.
Heck yeah. That is Arizona women's basketball head coach Becky Burke joining Spears and Ali here on ESPN Tucson. Coach, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on joining the University of Arizona, and good luck this upcoming season.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Coach.
When she was talking about we're a little smaller and not the most athletic, I thought she was talking about you. I was like,
no, but all seriousness though, I mean, Becky Burke, she's going to do great here. She has always done more with less. And I think now that we're getting into the rev share, that era of college athletics, now she's like, okay, you may not have the percentage of rev share like some of these other programs, but you've shown that you could do more with less. And I think she's going to do well here.
I think so too, man. I mean, just from what I've seen in a few short months, I think you're going to see a very hard-nosed, gritty Arizona women's basketball team. They're going to play very tough, and looking forward to watching them this season.
Can't wait.